Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the garage, welcome back to getting the race truck back under its own power. So if you guys watched the last episode, we got our Muldoon's 48 RE transmission back in the truck, but it got late. It was a school night and it was getting kind of cold here in the garage. Winter is here, so what we're doing is trying to get this transmission. Tonight we're going to finish getting the transmission installed, which we have to bolt up our torque converter, put our dipstick tube in, and fill it with fluid pretty much. So I really wasn't in too big a rush to get the trans, completely done. I just wanted to get it in the other night because pretty much this truck is ready to go other than the transmission to hopefully get it back to the track at least one more time this year. It is currently the beginning of November, so the weather has gotten cold here in Pennsylvania a little quicker than normal. So I'm thinking like this winter is going to be a pretty cold one, and that we're probably not going to get more than one more or two more chances at hitting the track with the truck, which I do really want to get it to Cecil so we can run the quarter mile with it and see what she can actually do. So what we have to do is we have to install our flex plate bolts, which is going to be a little bit of a pain because we now have 12 bolts rather than 6, which will hopefully keep the torque converter and flex plate from coming loose. But this is all done. It's going to be a lot easier to do if this thing would zoom. So if you guys can see right there on our flex plate, that hole right there has an arrow pointing to it. That is the hole that we use to start bolting our flex plate and torque converter in. The reason that this flex plate has that is to make it a lot easier to put these 12 bolts in. So rather than putting all the bolts in loose, getting it, go around, put them all in loose, and then going back around and tightening them up, that hole has a tighter clearance than the rest of them. So once we tighten that bolt up, we can just go ahead and all the others will line up, and we will have a, we only have to go around one time bolting the flex plate. So being it's 12 bolts, it's definitely going to help out a lot. Another thing we're doing is we are switching over from a red liquid Loctite to this 2620 Loctite. This is on a recommendation from Strictly Cummins on the Instagram. He said on, I guess their pulling truck or whatever, they had some issues with the flex plate bolts backing out. They switched to this like paste style Loctite, and that solved all their issues. So we are switching Loctites, and we are adding another 6 bolts. So hopefully our flex plate doesn't come loose again. So let's get this flex plate bolted up, or flex plate and torque converter bolted up, and get our dipstick tube in, and then fill this sucker with fluid and get her moving under our own power once again. All right, so we got everything done on the transmission. Our torque converter is all bolted down. It was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be because now that we don't have all this structure in the way, I was actually able to do it from outside of the truck rather than underneath. I started underneath. I was like, you know what? Seems like there's an awful lot of clearance here. So what I did was I put a 5/8 socket on the barring tool portion of the full power kit from Fluid Amper. I was able to rotate the engine over. We started with our first bolt in that Suncoast flex plate, and then just went right around and tightened everything up with our new Loctite, which is this 2620. that was recommended to me by Strictly Cummins once again. It's more of like a paste, so you kind of just had to get it on there and kind of spread it around the bolt. But we're going to try that. He seems to think that that will help with our issue. But put the lock pit on there, put the bolt in, and I'd run it in with my 1/2-inch gun. Normally I tighten down with my long handled 3/8 ratchet, but running it in with the 1/2-inch gun, it's tighter. I put my 3/8 ratchet on there and couldn't move it anymore. So I was able to just zip it in with the gun, rotate it over at the barring tool, and we were able to do all 12 bolts from outside the truck here. Made things much simpler than laying underneath the truck and all that. So got that done. Also slapped our radials back on the truck. Tilted our intercooler back so we could bolt that back up, since when we put our bellows in, our transmission wasn't in. But simple, easy fix. Just had to readjust it. Also got the yeah, kind of getting ahead of myself. Got our little access panel back in for the transmission. I vacuumed out our speed holes and the whole inside of the truck. Everything's good there. Also got 2 gallons of transmission fluid in the trans. So now we just need to start the truck and, you know, go through the gears, let it pump fluid throughout the transmission. Then we can shut the truck off, add some more fluid, all that. We got, like I said, 2 gallons in there. So that's 8 quarts, plus I put a couple quarts in the torque converter before I slapped it on there. So we got approximately 10 quarts of fluid in there. I want to say this thing holds like 24 quarts, something like that, with our transmission cooler and all. But we're going to find out. So we'll get it started. It is currently 37 degrees. Truck hasn't been started since we pulled the trans. So we're going to see how angry this thing is, because yeah, it's definitely not made for cold weather. We got those big injectors and all, but it should be interesting. So yeah, let's fire this Freedom Racing engine up, and get this transmission job complete. Not as bad as I thought, but I was hearing a weird noise. I had to double check everything, but everything's good. So more transmission fluid. So the drag truck moves under its own power once again. I'm actually very impressed with how well this thing started and ran. At first I was trying to start it and I thought I was hearing like a clanging or something. And I just went and double checked over everything, make sure, you know, I'm thinking, oh, I left something somewhere or whatever, but everything's good. Just kind of getting in my own head a little, I guess. But anyhow, it started right up. I was very impressed. It really didn't even stumble or smoke that awful bad for it being 37 degrees, probably some of the coldest weather this truck should really ever see. But yeah, started right up. Everything was great. Definitely got a little fluid in there and then pulled it out of the garage a little more to try not to smoke out the garage. But yeah, everything is good. We have forward and reverse again. We have, I think I told you guys it was 20 or 24 quarts it took. So it took, let's see, 3 gallons and then probably 2. So it took about 14 quarts. So that 24 must have been 14. I think it used to take 20, but that might have been when we had, well, the old engine with the factory transmission cooler and then our other auxiliary transmission cooler. So we'll definitely be checking that again. The truck idled for about 15 minutes there, and it got from, you know, oil temperature of like 37 degrees to 84. So it really doesn't even take that long for this thing to warm up. Just sitting there idling, which I'm happy about. So we go to the track, get there. We can pull our little hood stack cover from the guys at Fleece. We can pull that off, start the truck, and just let it sit there and idle while we unchain it from the truck and get it off the truck and all that. And it should be, you know, warmed up pretty quick. And this is kind of an extreme example because it is 37 degrees, and usually you're not going to be racing in, well, we're not going to be racing in 37 degree weather, I can tell you that now. But yeah, so everything's good. Very happy with that. I'm definitely going to, you know, go once over, give everything a once over again, and yeah, we should be ready to go. We got to clean the truck up at some point. I also was instructed by Mr. Muldoon to double check our line pressure. I guess he did a couple of valve body modifications for what we're doing, so he wants me to double check that, and he found one of the bores in the valve body was actually starting to show a little wear, so he put like a repair sleeve, or he repaired it, whatever he does, and so he just wants us to double check our line pressure. So what we'll have to do, I do have on our Edge CTS2, I have a line pressure gauge for this. It gives us a good idea, but John wants us to either double check the pressure on the transducer to make sure, you know, put regulated air to it to make sure the reading we're getting on our Edge is correct, and we can use that, or we'll just do it the old-fashioned way and throw a gauge on it. But what we're going to have to do is we'll have, you know, our idle, whatever that is, I think 135 PSI maybe. And then what we'll have to do is put the truck up on jack stands and then run it out until we get to lockup, and then see what our lockup pressure is and make sure it's where he wants it. And if not, we'll have to dial in our TV valve, which is the throttle valve on the transmission, which we have a piece of all thread, keeping that, you know, at a static place. So anyway, very happy with tonight's progress. Definitely got into some other stuff with vacuuming in and out and putting the radials on. Stuff that needed to be done, but stuff I wasn't originally planning on doing. Got our intercooler situated. It's kind of tilted back again, you know, just like our engine, so I'm happy with that. But yeah, all we need is a weather to warm up and some track time, and the track to be open, and we'll be ready to go. So yeah, I'm happy. I want to rip this thing down the quarter mile at Cecil, that's for sure. And then after finally Cecil closes, then we can get on to our winter plans, which I'm pretty sure most of you don't know what's coming, but it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Please like the video, subscribe down below. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Get out in your garage, get the wrench on your truck.